Hello, and thank you for joining me for my mini review slash discussion for the Ian Fleming James Bond or 007 books. So today the focus is going to be on book two, Live and Let Die. So as I did with the Casino Royale book, we'll start off just by showing you, make sure that's there properly, yeah, the actual book itself, because I really like the actual hardback that they've done here. The actual designs for it are really cool. You got the skull with the, I assume these are supposed to be like bullet marks, and you just got the hand on the back. Um, so just as a quick like I guess preface for the series for what prompted this. I've always been a fan of the James Bond franchise, like ever since I was little, watching the Pierce Brosnan ones, playing GoldenEye and playing whatever other games came out and came across my path. But over the last year or so, I just had a sudden urge to really like deep dive into the franchise, and as a result, I watched all of the Bond movies again, except No Time to Die, and then I started reading the books. And I'm currently now reading The Spy Who Loved Me, and I've been reading them in order, and I'm going to be doing a little review for each of these books. So what we should see, hopefully, as we go along, is the further up the series, or the further along the series we go, I will be able to remember a bit more of the stories, unless they really stuck with me. Because the other thing I'm finding, because I don't want to reread the book or go online and find like actual breakdowns of the story and stuff, because I feel like it defeats the purpose of what I want for a first impressions discussion, because it's primarily what I remember, what really stuck with me on a first read of each particular book. So for this one, I really enjoyed Live and Let Die. It's loosely the same as the movie, but there are a few like differences. Mainly, we'll go through some of the scenes in a bit, like I did with Casino Royale. But so you start off with Bond going to America, meeting Leiter like he does in the book, that in the movie. They go through their business there, and then they go to Jamaica to Captain Morgan's cave, and then that's where the climax for the story happens. And for me, I am a bit biased being a Welshman. If there's any mention of Wales or Welsh people, it always gets a pop out of me. So Captain Morgan definitely appealed to me, just the fact that you're bringing him up and his treasure and all this business. So I really like that aspect of it. In terms of the actual characters, I think Mr. Big was phenomenal in the book. I love how they made him like a really creepy and intimidating character. If I remember correctly, he's described as having like a giant purple-skinned head, or was it like a pale-skinned head? But like his head is huge, bigger than normal. The skin was like weirdly colored in some way, which is why people thought he was like a zombie. Um, he wants to use voodoo to control I think it's the Harlem part of America. So at this point, I guess voodoo is still a big thing in like black culture, and they are, in the book at least, the general public there are very intimidated and easily like controlled at the thought of someone using voodoo on them. So that's a big part of how Mr. Big sort of takes over Harlem and really just like has a stranglehold on everyone there, more or less. But yeah, so we got the same like in the movie where Bond goes to his club with Leiter, and then they get like, I can't remember how it happens in the book. I think it is the same when he sits on the table, on the chair, like with the tables, the table with the chairs, and he gets like pulled down. I think it's the same, or was it the door flip, the wall flipping around? I can't remember what it is, but he gets like trapdoored somehow, and then he's with like in the secretary area for him, and then he goes in to see Mr. Big like he does in the movie. The difference is the tone is a lot different in the book. It's a lot more serious. It's not quite as light-hearted as the Roger Moore movie. which I preferred. I really liked that it was a lot more serious and felt more threatening. One big difference for that particular scene is Teehee. In the book, Teehee does. It's not as drastic as Casino Royale scene, but there is a torture scene, and it results in Bond getting his finger snapped. So again, makes Mr. Big seem a lot more intimidating because he's met Bond for what 10 minutes and he's already broken his finger, um, just trying to prove if he's telling the truth or not. Because this is also where you meet Solitaire, and you get introduced to her whole like psychic powers using, I think, is it tarot cards or just cards in general? But I think it's tarot cards. Um, so you go through all that business. A difference then, because I can't remember how Teehee is defeated or killed in the movie, but in the book, Bond throws him down a stairwell after he gets his finger broken, and then he escapes, gets away from Mr. Big's gang. I believe then Bond and Leiter go somewhere else, but then one of my favourite scenes in the book happens between these two, which is not actually in the movie. This scene was put into one of the Timothy Dalton movies. I can't remember if it's The Living Daylights or License to Kill. I think it's License to Kill because Living Daylights is a short story, and I just assume they'll have a bit of a connection. But that's not always true because Quantum of Solace is nothing like the movie. But yeah, so in the book, it's a fantastic scene, and it's when Leiter is captured and he's basically fed to a shark. So he ends up, I think, losing his entire leg, one of his legs, and one of his arms. And it's a crazy moment because then Bond finds him because he gets like chucked back at their hotel, and it's just an incredible and crazy scene where these men that you believe are more or less invincible, these like supermen, they are protecting their countries and they're just badass. And now one of them is literally on death's doorstep, and you don't know if he's going to survive. So it really ramps up the stakes, and I think it was a phenomenal scene. And I'm surprised it happened so early in the franchise. I think it could have been a bit more impactful if he left it for maybe like book 3 or book 4, so you really get to like Leiter. But I think it's a fantastic scene regardless. So that's probably my favorite, maybe second favorite scene of the actual story. After that, I can't remember what happens between Harlem and Jamaica, because I know they do other stuff together, prepping, and getting ready for when they take on Mr. Big, but I really can't remember. So sadly, I guess we're going from like here all the way skipping this bit because I just don't recall what they do here. I feel like one of these books has a train scene similar to similar to From Russia with Love, but I can't remember if it's this one or a different one. But then also another part of why I prefer the book version is just how insane Mr. Big is. So his demise in the book is way better than it is in the movie. In the movie, he's shot with like a compressed air dart or arrow or something, and it just inflates him like a balloon and he pops, which is just wild to see, but it's still like a bit goofy. And in the book, after Solitaire and Bond, I think Solitaire was already taken back, and so she's with Mr. Big at this point, and Bond has gone there to save her and do his mission. I can't recall how she got there, but they're both there at Captain Morgan's cave trying to stop Mr. Big, who is smuggling gold for Smersh. So he's like doing smuggling for them. He's also like a voodoo crime boss, and he's trying to take over his section of America. So he's got big plans. He's a really interesting character doing a load of cool things. Cool relatively speaking, of course. And then he manages to capture Bond. He ties up both Bond and Solitaire with like like a metal rope connected to their boat. And the plan is then to pull them sailing away the boat, pull them into the water, and have them get shredded through the coral reef that is around them. Oh, that's one thing that happens. Sorry, beforehand. So you see Bond get into the cave, and he gets attacked by an octopus. Um, and then as they get him pulled through, thankfully Bond, I think he convinced Solitaire. I could be wrong. It could have been him himself. One of them puts a bomb on Mr. Big's boat. The bomb goes off, saves them because they manage then to get onto like a rock so they don't drown. And after this, though, Mr. Big, like a man possessed, somehow survives his boat exploding, starts swimming towards Bond and Solitaire with just murderous intent because he's going to kill them for ruining his plans. And he's just like swimming through the water with like the fury of the gods, half dead, I can only imagine, from the explosion. And then he gets eaten alive by the sharks and the barracuda and what have you in the water. You'll notice in Fleming's books, it's always sharks and barracuda. He sometimes mentions a few other aquatic animals, but 9 times out of 10, sharks, barracuda. The shark can be sometimes different. Sometimes he'll mention a hammerhead or some other kind of sharks, but he loves a good barracuda. I don't know if they are just genuinely native to Jamaica and they are like a very serious concern and serious threat in the water over there. But for whatever reason, though, he just mentions barracuda all the time, or at least from what I can recall. Am I forgetting any other great scenes or any other aspects of this? Because the problem I have is there's 25 Bond movies and 14 Bond books. So because I'm doing it as a first impressions, I can't always remember which one comes from which, and if it's from the book or the movie version. But the Jamaica, yes. Also, yes, they do go to Jamaica. That's good. The one thing I will also mention, because I did mention it in the previous book, I'll find it by here. So yeah, I think hopefully you'll be able to see it. It's this paragraph by here. It says this book was written at a time when terms and attitudes which might be considered offensive by modern readers were commonplace. So apparently I looked online and Casino Royale is word for word more or less, or I think exactly word for word, the same as it was. But this book, plus I think a lot of the other Bond books, have had modern censorship to them, which to a small extent I agree to, because certain things that they have censored are, like racial words. So I can understand them removing those. But personally, I think you should keep a book as close to and as unaltered as physically possible from the writer's original words. Or at least you should have an option of, like, I don't know how you would word it, but like the Ian Fleming cut, and then like the modern audience cut, or something to that effect, like where they remove a lot more to make it a lot more again, I can't think of a word to use that isn't like just mocking or anything, but just like a lot more toned down, we'll say. And then you have the choice to pick which one you want. And if you pick the Ian Fleming original version, you think, oh, this is a bit wild, these word choices are a bit crazy, then you can just swap to the other one, and you have a lot more palatable experience for yourself personally. Because, like I say, I just think you should keep it as true to the actual author's words. But that's just me. Obviously, I've never read a book where it has all sort of racial slurs in it, so I don't know. Maybe if I read one like that, I would be completely in agreement with the censoring and the altering that this book has. But yeah, so overall, the score I gave for Live and Let Die is a 9 out of 10, which is the second 9. I think it's a fantastic book. I think you should definitely read it if you're a fan of the Bond movies. And let me know in the comments if you plan on giving Live and Let Die a go. And if you have already read it, let me know what your thoughts are of the movie and where you would rank it out of 10, or what you'd rank it out of 10, and where you rank it against the other Bond books. Thank you, and have a great day.